Welcome back, everyone, to episode 12 of the Minot Business Podcast, presented by Bennett Creative Media. Once again, Wednesday morning, we have two guests this time, not just one special guest, two special guests. So, yes. Sarah Burckhard, Steve Fennewald, nice to have you guys on the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for asking. We appreciate it.
This is a little bit different now. Now I got to look at two of you. I was looking, usually just look right in the middle. Now I got to bounce my eyes.
Throw you off, Houston.
Yes. So we're gonna get right into the questions right away, like we always do, and have you guys kind of talk about what you do. So I don't know who wants to kick it off, but what do you guys do? You know, what's under your umbrella of Steve and Sarah?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So Steve and I have been partners for many years in the mortgage world, and we have a mortgage bank company called Benchmark Mortgage here in Minot, and we do home loans. We specialize in home loans.
So from what I understand, is Benchmark, is it a franchise or is it like, how does that work?
Essentially, yes. Okay. So there's different branches, and they're all operated a little differently, but all under one big umbrella.
There's like 100 of them, I believe.
Yep.
Okay. Just all over the US. All over the US, I suppose. So I want to go to the very beginning. How did you guys even get into this industry? How'd you get into this space?
Sure.
Is that like
you're digging deep.
Oh yeah.
It's very deep.
All right.
So like, tell me your childhood. So like from 4 years old and up, what happened from there?
That's going to take a long time for Stevie's old. You know?
but
it might.
But no, actually, how did you get into the industry? So have you guys always been in the, mortgage industry or?
Yeah. Steve, why don't you start?
Well, not always in the mortgage lending. I was at a local bank doing like car loans, that sort of scenario. Mm-hmm. And just the next thing to do was kind of mortgage lending. So we kind of started doing that about 18 years ago.
Is that like the corporate ladder? You start with car and then move up to
it kind of is,
cabins and then houses?
Yep.
Okay. So you started there. Sarah, was it kind of the same for you?
No, I'm a little different. So I actually started as a real estate agent. I was a real estate agent for 3 years.
Really?
And I was like, I want to go into lending. It's just, I think it would be great. And I got an opportunity to jump into lending. So
why did you think that lending would be better than being a realtor for you personally?
Yeah,
I'm not knocking any realtors out there, but
totally not. No, I more of like the steady hours, which is funny because
it's
that's not the
case. Not at all.
Not even close.
But at the time I'm like, I'd like to have steady hours, work Monday through Friday, kind of have that gig.
8 to 5,
obviously it's a lot different now.
And now it's okay. So that's a good transition into, your expectations going into the business. So when you guys started, first of all, did you know you always wanted to be partners, or what was the thought process like when deciding, okay, maybe you're going to start the business yourself, maybe you're going to start the business yourself, or should we partner together? What was that like?
So initially we weren't partners.
Not at all.
We were competition.
Hated each other.
There was a little bit of something there.
Steve had Sarah's face on a dartboard in his office.
That's it.
It kind of was. And that kind of started, she came to the bank, and the next thing you know, it was extremely busy at that time.
Okay.
And all of my prior clients, not all of them, but they would kind of walk right past my office into Sarah's.
Okay.
And it was a commission deal. It's like, what is going on? Really? So it wasn't the greatest.
So were you guys at the same bank then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So was she just one-upping you or what?
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't one-upping me, but it wasn't fun seeing all these, because you get busy, you can't get back to somebody and they're in your office or whatever. Say, well, just go see Sarah. Yeah. So that's what they did. And if it was a small loan, not a big deal, but if it's a big loan, it's like, hello.
Well, exactly.
I got a house payment too,
Yep.
So how did it get to, let's be partners from enemies?
Yeah. Like at some point we were like, hey, let's gain a little quality of life because it was so busy and hectic, and hey, it'd be great to take a vacation.
So was it like that at the bank where you weren't working the hours that you wanted to, or was it just over the top, or what was it like at the bank?
Same. It was busy. Yeah. And that's kind of how it started. You'd go on vacation and you'd come back and you'd have 6, 8, 10 files on your desk. Okay. It's like, nobody did this for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So we decided to partner together, and the rest is history, man. We've been partners for 15 or 16 years now.
I suppose.
Really?
Yeah.
So has it always been Benchmark for 15, 16 years, or were you partners before that?
Even before.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Local bank.
Yep.
So you partnered at the bank together?
At the bank, correct.
Okay. So
which was like odd because that's not normal.
That's not
even
how
in
it's
the banking
done.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like that usually happens. So how did that thought process go? Why did you guys decide to?
Well, besides the files getting piled up on your desk, you'd have these meetings with corporate, who's your biggest competition? Who's your biggest competition?
It's like the girl right next door.
That was my biggest competition. So you can't beat them, you join them. So that's what we did.
That's a fantastic line right there. So was it more of once you guys did that, then you just, if there's one loan, it's both your guys' loan and then split the commissions?
Yep.
Is that how it went?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So then going back a little bit, before that, business wise,
Yeah.
did you guys always know you were business minded, entrepreneurial, or is that kind of something that just sparked when you started Benchmark? Or did you kind of know down the road, I want to start my own thing?
I wasn't all in like Sarah was.
Okay. From the start of Benchmark, or from like when you were 18?
Even the beginning of Benchmark, it was like, this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to go with me, I'm just going to kind of do it my own.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm
Like,
getting
shit.
up there in age a little bit. I didn't want to start over.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, let's do it.
So there was some convincing that needed to happen.
Not too much. I mean, yes, there was a little
bit.
convincing.
I mean, I've been with her, like I said, 17 years. So
Yeah.
there's a trust there. I mean, she's like my little sister. So
Yeah.
Yep.
So what was the going into the start of the business then, start of Benchmark? What was the process like, the feeling out process of starting your own gig?
Sure.
Obviously you have to start from the beginning, but what was that like? Starting any business is difficult, but how was it for you guys?
Yeah. Finding the right outlet was huge. Like we
Outlet
looked
being
at
Benchmark?
a lot of, we looked at a lot of different options for us and found the one that just fit nicely with our views and our visions and what they had for support. Because I think it was a nice way to go in with some support. There's like so many different scenarios in the corporate office that just gives you a lot of benefit to what you're doing and not make it like I'm completely starting from scratch.
So Benchmark kind of coaches you through the whole process.
I wouldn't say coaching necessarily, but they have everything in place
Gives you
to
the
really help you just
resources
get in
for it.
and get going. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But it was stressful. It was right when COVID kind of hit.
Okay.
So that added,
we opened like 3 months
yeah.
before COVID hit. And then we were like, oh, maybe this wasn't the best time to open a business.
So it was a little different. And even the first week we were open, I mean, I had this vacation plan, so to speak. And once we give our notice, we know we're gone that day from the bank or whatever. So it's like,
do they give you 2 weeks or do they you get notice and then you're
done? And so the next day it's like, well, we're at this office with a little cardboard table.
Giving one of these,
one
the old
computer.
thumb
It's
twiddler.
like, okay, now what? I'm leaving in 2 days. So
So you guys are currently out by where the new hospital's going.
Yes.
Did you start in a smaller office before that?
We did.
Just a folding table?
We had a temp office offered to us by a good friend, and we used that for probably 6 months until we were able to get into our own office space, and that happened, and then we closed for COVID.
Yeah.
Right when you got into the new space?
Right when we got in.
The same week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So a little stressful.
So
I was at the office.
Steve was at the office.
At the new office or the old office?
At the new one. I went there every day.
Well, you probably just didn't want to stay at home.
That's exactly what it
A
was.
little harder for me to work at home.
Got to get out of the house.
Yeah.
So here's maybe a good question I can ask for people that are starting. And this, in my case, I obviously have a home studio, so I don't have an office space. But what are some pieces of advice you would give people that maybe are just starting their business and they're looking for office spaces, deciding to get one, to not get one, big one, small one? Do you have any pieces of advice down that road?
Ooh.
That is a really hard question.
I'm full of the hard questions.
Especially because commercial space is not the easiest to come by anyways.
Is it difficult to come by?
It is.
Like hard to find?
Yeah.
It is hard
Just
to
a
find.
good place
Good
in general?
space and a decent price. And
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, the hardest thing with the commercial part is because when I'm renting, and I'm not a guy that likes to rent.
Sure.
And then
I
just
lose
like you
you're
don't
burning money.
want to,
Home
but you don't want to just jump all in. Here's my 25% down to buy a place, and then
Correct.
something happens, so it's a little harder.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you know at the beginning, is that why you decided to rent at the beginning? Because you were still, because I'm trying to go through your thought process. Was it like, hey, this is going to work 100%? Or did you have doubts in your mind when you decided to start Benchmark?
I would say there's always that lingering, like, gosh, what if it doesn't? But I think we were absolutely all in. And I feel like you have to be.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, you better jump
You got to
in.
go in.
And did you guys have a support group that you kind of bounced
Yeah.
ideas and strategies and stuff off of when starting to kind of help push you to
Absolutely. So
have that
obviously
mindset?
we're constantly bouncing everything off of each other.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of people in the industry throughout the US that was helping us like, hey, this is what I would do, or this has happened to me
Okay.
within the Benchmark organization that we were able to kind of pull from too.
I suppose that's where the corporate side of things kind of helps.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we did talk to a couple of realtors, hey, this is what we're looking at doing. And I mean, they kind of said, hey, if you're going to do it, do it.
Yeah.
Now the home mortgage industry, is that something that's difficult to break into, or is it kind of once you have your clientele, it kind of is easier, or how does that work?
It depends on where you're at. Like a bank, you're kind of getting fed a little bit. I mean, you have your leads coming in from that bank, right?
Okay. Because that's what I was kind of wondering about the lead gen thing.
Yeah.
How's the lead gen for once you're off on your own?
I mean,
your social media and talking to realtors and business partners and people like that.
And I suppose everyone knows Wells Fargo or Gate City.
Sure.
Correct.
And that's when they kind of feed you, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And branding was a big deal.
And that's what I was going to get into. I suppose those bigger companies are probably not doing much Facebook posts about, hey, come do a home loan for us, because they don't care. They're like, you're going to come here no matter what, right?
Right.
They kind of teach them that.
Yeah. So as far as getting those lead gen, if we go into the marketing side a little bit, then how have you seen that using social media and those presences has helped you guys with lead gen versus working at, say a bank?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's just not something, like you said, was utilized as much at the bank. So we've done a lot of that here, and it's been really successful.
Google reviews help.
Google reviews were great. Yep. And then a lot of word of mouth. I mean, we've been doing this for a really long time prior to us starting Benchmark. So we had a lot of people that just knew about us, or we had done loans for in the past, or agents that we work with as referral partners. And so we were able to get leads that way as well.
Yep.
So how does that work as far as, let's say someone was with you at the old bank.
Yeah.
Did it help that they would just kind of come with you as you guys went to?
Yeah, we did definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we definitely got a few of those. We didn't get a lot of them.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have their contact information anymore.
Yeah.
I mean,
because how that works is you can just transfer your loan over, like.
Yeah, I mean, when they do a new loan, essentially.
Okay, gotcha.
That's when you would. Yep.
So, what do you guys enjoy about working with each other, working with the partner? So, I want to compare this because I don't have a partner in my business, right? It's just me. I bounce ideas off of, people that are in my network, but I assume we talked to Becky from Premier Chiropractic here a couple weeks ago, and she said partnership's great. She loves it. She's like, there's a couple quirks, but how do you guys feel? Are there great things about being partners with each other? Are there ever times you kind of butt heads? How does it go about?
Yeah. We're like siblings.
Yeah.
We butt heads for sure. But ultimately we both have the same goals in mind, and we know what we want to achieve. And so I think it's just becomes a compromise sometimes,
Yeah.
But
there's definitely a trust there. I mean, you have to trust them. I mean,
you have to find the right person to partnership with. That's not something you can just easily find.
Yeah.
No.
So do you have any advice for people that are thinking about getting a partnership?
I think it's great. Like I said, I think if you can find the right person to do that with, it's an awesome opportunity to do.
It is, but there's definitely some parts at times where you kind of wish you were on your
fist fighting each other. Fist fighting each other.
It happens. I mean, yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So now talking about the process of being a business owner, it's much different than just getting a normal paycheck, right? Every single day.
Yep.
I want to talk about the benefits of being a business owner.
Sure.
And then some of the things that people might not understand. Some of the, people always say, oh my gosh, you get to go on unlimited vacations and you can work whenever you want. But there's also some bad things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what are some of the benefits for you guys? Why did you want to start your own business? What were some of those things that you were looking to gain that you didn't have at your previous job?
We were not servicing our clients to the best of our abilities. That was number one.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
We were very spread thin, which is a typical feeling when you're at a bank, because there's lots of different things you have to do versus just specializing in mortgage. So we have a team that's built around us to make sure we know everything about it and we can provide the best service to our clients and we can get them from A to Z with a team versus just us.
At the bank, they're so number driven that they just don't take care of their clients and customers as well as they should.
So that transitioned a little bit into working with the public and working and growing a community. Why is it important for you guys in any business, really, if someone's starting a business tomorrow, why is it important to treat those customers you have, to the best top shelf quality you can?
Well, it's all about relationships.
Yep. You might not have as many customers and clients as you did at a bank or wherever you are.
Yep.
Sure.
If you're on your own, I mean, you're the only one that they're going to talk to at the end. So you better do it right.
Yeah.
And I feel like being more human with them, whereas I've never gotten a loan through a bank, I guess, but actually maybe I do have one. Credit union, I know for sure. But going there, you might just feel like, okay, it's shuffle in and out. Get your paperwork, sign it. Okay, see you out the door. See you next time you need money.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel, I know with you guys, because we've worked together in the past, is you're almost like they're a part of your family.
Correct.
Family. Yep. So that is a good transition into now you guys do the Take Aim event. Yeah. Why do you think it's important to be involved in the community when you're running your own business?
Oh, I think that's huge.
Yeah, that's a good question for you.
Oh, okay, perfect. So
he's like, here you go.
I came
gold platter.
Yeah.
I came from a family that has always been super community minded and oriented, and wanted to give back. And we have a passion for veterans and first responders. That's just like our thing. We just have always been like that. We didn't have as much flexibility before, and now we do. And so that's our give back, is like, hey, we have a lot of veterans and active military in our community and first responders that we can give back to. And Take Aim was like a fun event, that the community can rally, have a great time, raise some funds, and do a good deed in our community. So
it was a little harder for me to get on board with the give back thing. I mean, you're at the bank does it for you, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I'm more of a number guy.
Yeah.
And so now when we're looking at it,
he means penny pincher.
Well, it's not so much that, but I mean, you have to make sure everybody gets paid. You have to keep the lights on, the rent. I mean, so you do kind of look at it where it's.
And those community events cost money.
Oh,
which is like,
free.
it's not, it's not a bad thing to say that.
No,
we'll call a spade here, but it does take resources to put on a thing like this.
Correct.
A lot of time. Yeah.
So do you think doing an event like this for the community and being involved in the community in turn brings you back business on the back end?
I think so.
I would think so, a little bit.
I think so. And just helps build your message. Like, what do you stand for? Everybody can do one thing, right?
Yeah.
So what makes you different? And that was part of it for us.
Yeah.
Is that one thing that you guys had to decide when starting businesses? Did you kind of go over some core values or things that you kind of stood for?
Yep.
Is that something people should be when they're starting businesses or running businesses?
They have to have a plan and some actions as far as what they're going to try to
values,
get.
like you said, like what's important to you? What's the message you're pushing out there?
Why do you think that's important to have those?
Well, if you don't have a vision, you're going to go in 50 million directions and you're never really going to accomplish what you wanted to in the first place. Right. So
I would agree. And the Take Aim thing, it was just a good focus on the veterans and first responders, and it was easy to jump on board.
Yeah.
Oh, super easy.
So pivoting a little bit now, we talked about at the bank, you guys didn't really have a team. Eventually you ended up becoming a team, 2-person team.
Yep.
And now at Benchmark, you have a larger team.
Yes.
How important is it to have a team around you guys? Explain to me why having a team in business is important.
For us, it's been kind of life-changing. They're basically like family.
They do become family, without a doubt.
And you build a really good understanding between people of what's important. And as long as you can live by the vision that you want, those people will hop on board. And that's really what's happened with our team. So just taking care of our clients.
Yeah. And with our team, I mean, there's so many aspects to the mortgage loan itself that you need people specialized, like in getting insurance, getting your title insurance done, ordering the appraisals, underwriting the file. You can't do everything. Yeah. There's just no way.
Why is that so much different than at a bank?
Yeah.
A team versus just working with one person?
Sure. So our team is specifically geared to our clients, where maybe at a regular lending institution, the loan officers take on a lot of that work and they're doing a lot more volume. So they're really stressed out. They're doing way too much.
You probably can't put as much effort into one loan as
I mean, they just don't have the time. Not that they don't want to. They just don't have the time.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's freed up, is like our time to make sure that the relationship is solid. And then our team's time to do a lot of the clerical stuff that like needs to be done and is super important, but not necessarily for us to be doing, because we're trying to help the client.
Mm-hmm. So now growing a team, how did you go about finding the beginning? Who are we going to hire? How are we going to hire? What's the vetting process of finding the right people?
That's hard.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I will say our first employee was someone that I have known for pretty much the whole time I lived in North Dakota. So 20 plus years. I knew she had been in the mortgage industry in a processing position. And for years, even at previous lending institutions, I wanted her. I was like, I gotta get her. She'd be awesome. So I think finding key people is important.
Okay. She was really our second employee.
Technically second.
Because we asked her to come on board and she had just started another position.
Okay.
And I can't do it. So we have to hire somebody. We do. And the next thing you know, it's like, I want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now it's all of a sudden looking at the numbers. It's like we can barely
now we have
afford
2 people.
one. Now we need to do 2. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I mean,
Sarah seems like the visionary, and you're like the devil's advocate for all these.
You have to be sometimes.
He keeps me a little level-headed. Like I can like shoot really high.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's good to have that like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah. Simmer down a little.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the $100,000 deal. Let's go here.
So the hiring process, building a team, building a culture inside of the building. What is that like? Why is that important to have that internal team? I know we talked about logically why it is, so you can delegate tasks.
Yeah.
But the culture and the family side of things.
Yeah. We try to keep it really tight knit, just casual, comfortable. Like we obviously are a family, but we kind of fight like a family too. So there's definitely times where we're like, but at the end of the day, everybody knows like that we're all just trying to accomplish a goal and we all care about each other.
Yeah. If you didn't like who you're working with there, I mean, you're not going to want to go to work, and you have to like who's sitting those chairs with you. So it's worked out pretty well.
So now relationship wise, we talked about relationships with the community. What is the relationships like with other business professionals like the realtors and like the title companies that you have to work with?
I mean, they're pretty much our clients too. We try really hard to keep our buyer's agents and even the listing agents that aren't necessarily our referral partner, you know, in the loop so that they know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think they really appreciate that from us because I don't know if they get that all the time.
And they know that we're a team. So when they literally text me, they'll text her as well.
Yeah.
So everybody kind of is on the same page.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I noticed when I was buying my house is that like everyone was tied into the same thing.
Yeah.
Which is good because then you know it's like, okay, well, I think one of them, you were out of town for something.
Sure.
And then you said so-and-so is going to help you. And I was like, sweet, this is awesome. I don't have to wait for anything.
Right.
She's always on vacation.
Right. Well, hey, perks of a business owner, man.
I guess.
And maybe, hey, that's one thing we didn't talk about. We talked about the cons of having to work hard, but what are some of the pros of being a business owner? So obviously people watching this hopefully are wanting to start a business or just started a business.
Yeah.
What are some of those benefits and how do you get to those benefits?
Sure.
What's the work that precedes
So the pros are you get to pick who you work with, which is pretty cool. And then you can take vacation when you want to around what's going on. I will say that I haven't actually taken an actual vacation. I mean, usually
what constitutes?
Yeah, what constitutes that?
Like you go and then you're like, I'll have my laptop. I'm just going to do a little work. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'll give you credit for that.
An email or two here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a different kind of, you want to do it versus like, I have to do it. Do you know what I mean?
And is that a piece of advice you can give about what type of business someone's trying to start? Should they be? A lot of people say you have to start a business that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I think it's true on some scales because I don't know how passionate you guys are about strictly mortgage loans. Yeah. But I think it's more the people you get to deal with, that kind of thing.
It's the relationships, 100%.
So, question I got here for you now. We talked about building a team, talked about events. What would be some of your biggest successes that you can, how do you celebrate those? How do you grow from those, grow the businesses? And then after that, we'll talk about any failures. How did you ever overcome those? But biggest successes, is there any like aha moments where you're like, we got it?
Well, there was an aha moment actually, because I mean, we started in that one small little spot.
Yep.
And then we are where we are now.
Yep.
But all of a sudden we didn't have enough space. Okay. It was like, seriously, we're hiring more people.
Yeah.
So we knocked down a hole in the wall or whatever, and we expanded. And it was just crazy for me to think all of a sudden we go from 2 of us to 6, 7 of us.
So that's in the office that I've seen that. Okay. You don't have the wall down in there?
Yeah. Yep. There was a wall up.
Where at? Like in the hallway area?
Kind of back in the hallway. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just punched it. Did you guys do that yourself? Like an inaugural sledgehammer?
He's not allowed to play with hammers.
Yeah, I'm not very good on the building part.
Yeah, I showed you my wall in my guest bedroom over there, man.
Looks good.
The construction is a little bit jagged when you got that jigsaw. So that was your one big success. Were there any more successes before we dive into some failures?
I would say jumping and taking that leap to give back to the community and do take game was a huge risk for us. It was a lot of money out of pocket, a lot of time from our team. And we just didn't know if it was going to, go or not, but we took the chance and gosh, it felt so good after. I mean, we all still talk about it and about how awesome it was. And the give back was great. I mean, we were able to give basically $15,000 to a local veterans organization, which is awesome.
And that's what, up front before it happens, I'm sure the money looks like
scary.
Oh my gosh, it's up there, right?
Yeah.
But then something like that comes out of it where you get back $15,000 and it feels a little bit better, I imagine.
It feels great. And then we got asked to sit on the board for them
Really?
to help them. So it's just cool.
Now transitioning into failures.
Yeah.
Were there any it doesn't have to be a huge failure, but lessons. So like when I was in Canada, my billet dad told me that he didn't go to college, but he said that he made a $50,000 business mistake.
Yeah.
That he would have saved that money if he had went to school.
Oh.
But I don't know if you have anything on that grand of a scale, but has there been anything where you're like, okay, we learned a lesson there, kind of took it in the ass.
Yeah.
But
that's a good question.
I'm really making you guys think internally about your business here.
Some things that were just a pain in the ass.
I mean, some of it you just can't foresee coming until it's there, and then you just have to pivot.
Yeah.
I think pivoting is the biggest thing in business is like, okay, well, you messed up in whatever.
Yeah.
As long as you're able and willing to pivot, and it might not look pretty sometimes, I think you have to do that.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. I can look back and
there's nothing major that I can think of, but there's definitely been times, small things, like maybe hiring someone and then you're like, oh shoot, we probably didn't need this type of position. Maybe we needed this type of position, but pivoting and being able to work through that. I think that's probably
I would agree.
The biggest piece of advice.
Because even when we hired our third and fourth person, it was the same sort of scenario. We're hiring one person, and then all of a sudden she says to me, I really like this other person too.
Yeah. And we brought her on, and she's still here. We love her.
She's amazing. Yeah, loaded out.
So as far as that goes for hiring people, and I always use the term putting the cart ahead of the horse. You don't want to do that generally, but are you in favor of hiring people before you need them?
You have to
sometimes you have to get ahead of it, because if you are behind the 8, right? Like when the time comes, you're going to miss out.
Yeah. You don't have time to train them thinking it's going to get busy. I mean, you just, And
I think that's
when it's busy, it's too late to train, I guess.
That's one thing people don't think about is you got to train employees.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the learning curve looks like for the mortgage industry, but
have you ever heard of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae?
Yeah, there's plenty of rules.
No, what is that?
It's like the government entities, like that's the regulators, the rules, and there's a lot to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I suppose especially when you're dealing with that much money and all the different types of companies you have to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
So what's the North Star of Benchmark? Do you guys want to get bigger? Do you want to?
We're not so focused on getting bigger, right? We just want to build the relationships and keep the relationships we have and grow on that.
If it happens, great. If it stays what it is, wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything down the road that's like, okay, we want to branch off into a different direction, a different avenue, or is it kind of just
not really a branch off? I think that we found a need. We were doing a lot of Williston loans, right?
Okay.
And that's at a community that just doesn't have a lot of options. And we can obviously do that directly from Minot. We have been, but we were like, okay, there's a need there. We're filling the need now. Yeah. Why not move a little bit in that direction and help that community? So we are expanding to the Williston area.
Okay. Yeah. Congratulations, guys.
That's awesome. Thank you.
That should be fun. Last question I got for you.
Sure.
I always say Mount Rushmore is 4, but I'm going to say 3. Your 3 best tips. Each of you have to give me 3 of them.
Ooh.
For a 22-year-old just starting a business right now, watching this podcast. What are some things they should know from the beginning? What are something they got to get in order? Your biggest tips, your biggest, hey, don't do this. Yeah. How can we shorten that learning curve for these people?
Okay.
They need to do something that they're passionate about, I think.
Okay. I have to give 3 and he has to give 3?
That's correct.
Gosh, this is hard.
That's why I took the passion.
6 total.
You took it, right?
And it can be the
Don't be afraid to make some mistakes.
Good one.
And you need to learn from those mistakes.
Yeah.
That's 1, 2, 3.
I would say go into it thinking you know everything, but no, you don't.
That's a good one.
Like, just know you don't know everything.
I always say that you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to figure it out? If I'm trying to shoot a video, I don't know I have that problem because I haven't gotten to that problem yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I always say you have to get to those problems to overcome them.
Yeah. And it's okay to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going to fail. There's not everything is going to go the exact way you thought it was going to go. So take it as a lesson. Pivot.
I feel like people always have that storyboard in their head of, okay, this is how my business is going to go. It's going to go like this. I'm going to make this money doing this. Yes. And then what's that saying, Mike Tyson? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah, there you go.
That's exactly kind of how business is.
That's
it's like, okay. And I remember when I started my video company, I was like, okay, I'm going to make this much money in the first year. I think I made $8,000 my first year. And I was like, I need to rethink my life, I think.
Right.
But, and I always say you don't fail unless you stop doing something.
Yes.
Even like if this podcast can't fail if I do 718 episodes.
Yeah.
Right. Eventually it's going to strike gold. Maybe.
Right.
Might take 1,400, but maybe after this one it'll blow up. But no, that's awesome, guys. Yeah. Where can people find you? That's all the questions I got for you.
Yeah. We're located just across from the new Trinity that's being built off of 36th Avenue Southwest over by the Y, kind of in that area.
Where can they find you online? Facebook, website?
Yeah, teamnd.benchmark.us. You can find us there.
Perfect.
And almost every realtor in town knows us. So, Sweet. Even if you're working with a realtor.
Yeah, so if you're working with a realtor and you just say, hey, I want to go with the Benchmark team. I personally, as a client of the Benchmark team,
yes, thank you.
I've loved everything. They made the process super simple, minus that one quiz I had to take for the home loan. I think I took it driving to Williston. And I took like half of it, and I was like, I don't even care anymore. I just click through because the answers didn't matter. Which
you
I
actually didn't have to take that. I just wanted to poke that up.
No, she does that.
But no, I did like half of them, and I was like reading and driving. Don't take this as advice, kids. But and then I was like, you know what? They're not even checking if I'm getting them right, so I just clicked through them. And then I'm like, I know all this stuff.
I'm gonna go back and check your answer.
Yeah, that's why maybe if my house burns down because it's something, it's probably because I didn't do that test. You can find them on the interweb. Benchmark Morgan. What would you say it was?
teamnd.benchmark.us.
I'll put all this information down in the description below, so you guys can check it out. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you.
If you guys like this episode, hit like, comment, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave a like, leave a review. That really helps in getting more people to see it. But for now, that's episode 12 of the Minot Business Podcast, and we'll see you next Wednesday morning for episode 13. We'll see who's on. I don't even know yet, but